On a much better note, let's talk about some indie titles that I had the time to play during my hiatus. Um, so yeah, I've been playing a bunch of games during the break. Some mainly indie titles, but some other titles as well that I kind of decompressed with. Had a good time with that. I kind of want to share my experience about some multiplayer stuff. Obviously, Fortnite's never going anywhere, at least for my game cycle. Multiverses has still been fun. I did start. I think I talked about it already, but I did play through Infamous Second Son all the way through again. That might have been just before our break. That was fun. I played a little bit more of Horizon Zero Dawn. And then for indie titles, I played through two games specifically. I played through a game called Tinykin, which is a game by Tiny Build. And essentially it is a Pikmin-inspired, adventure game. Essentially, you are a human who crash land back on Earth. For some reason, you were very tiny, almost like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids style. And you're going around this house trying to pretty much get back home, but you're trying to find out more about life on the planet and what exactly happened. But essentially, it's a very cute 2D, 3D game. Very cute art style. And you're essentially going around collecting these different Tinykins. So there's ones that you can throw. There are ones that are bombs. There are ones that carry an electric charge. There's ones that create a bridge. There's ones that you can stack on top of each other and kind of use as a ladder or a platform to get to higher areas. So you're essentially collecting these to go around and help out the different insects and ants that you have come across and help them with their problems, different puzzles that you need to solve. And it was just very chill experience. Like I said, the art style is adorable. It's a big giant 3D house, different levels that you encounter and go through. But all of the characters that you interact with as well as yourself are all 2D. And seeing just the differing art styles and kind of how it melded into this one experience, which is really unique. We've talked about it with Dio and Danny when they were last on the podcast about a future Devolver Digital title, Plucky Knight, Plucky Squire. And that seems like it's another one of those 2D, 3D games that shares this kind of unique experience with it, because you don't see it often. A lot of fun, very chill to kind of explore the different levels. There's a lot of collectibles to be had in terms of artifacts of the house to kind of give you more of a backstory. There's pollen everywhere, which you use to kind of cash into one of the bugs to improve your own abilities, whether it's hovering or flying. And there's no direct path with the puzzles, so it's very open to you as to what your, path is of how you want to solve the entire level. So it was very nice to have that freedom of exploration. And the story that they do tell, while maybe not the best, is a satisfying story in the end, I would say. It was more of that experience of turn your brain off and just kind of zone to it. So I would highly recommend Tinykin. It was a good time. I think it took me about 14 to 15 hours to 100% complete it. If you're just going to go for the story, I would say 8 to 10, depending obviously on how much you take your time through that experience. But a lot of fun. Like I said, the art style I think is the biggest draw for me, just because it was cute and adorable. As for another indie title that I did play, I played through Death's Door all the way through. Now, Death's Door is a game that I've been hearing for a while through the 6-1 IndieCast. Shout out to them. It is essentially, it's very similar to Tunic, which I know we played on stream, and it's close to a Dark Souls type game. So you're essentially this crow, which are, the job title is Reapers, but you are essentially like gathering souls to kind of guide into the afterlife. So you're going through, you're collecting those people who are at the end of their life, these monsters and bosses, defeating them, and then taking their soul energy to death's door and releasing their spirit energy into that. The crows are immortal until they are in this physical world where these monsters live and reside. So in the immortal plane, or where you guys reside as the Reapers, you can you get more backstory on the crows and the Reapers and the whole history of the doors and whatnot. But then also you can similar to Souls games, cash in your soul energy as well for upgrades for your characters. So you increase your attack power, your dexterity, so how fast you can dodge and whatnot, your magic ability, and I believe there's one other one, probably something defensive. So you can cash into those, improve into your character. One thing that I will say is different from the Dark Souls is this one is very forgiving. So in a Dark Souls, a Sekiro, a Elden Ring, you defeat the enemies, you get these resources. If you die, the resources, you drop them, and you need to go back to your body and retrieve them. Otherwise, you lose them forever if you die again or just never collect them. Death's Door is very forgiving in the fact if you die, you do not lose that resource. You constantly hold on to it, so if you need to, you can go back at any point, kind of redeem those points, grow your character to make them better, and move forward. Basically, this game, it's another shorter experience. So there are 3 main bosses that you kind of tackle into your journey. So you start off your journey, you're going after a target. Unfortunately, another crow steals the target from you. You encounter, or confront them rather, and you kind of guide them, or not guide them, you help them and assist them on their journey to open Death's Door, this last door where apparently his original target is behind and hiding. Throughout your journey, you're going to tackle 3 main bosses. You have a grandmother who lives in a urn mansion who has been long past her livelihood and keeps revitalizing her lifespan to kind of extend. You have a frog king who has wrongfully taken over a forest and kind of grown in power over there. And then you have a Yeti monster who just lives on top of a mountain and kind of causes havoc onto the mountain. Eventually, you're going to tackle those 3 bosses, and that's going to lead into the rest of the narrative, which I'm not going to spoil because I highly recommend this game. It is a very good story. So essentially, you tackle those and you proceed from there. The game's difficulty doesn't seem too bad. There were a lot of times I did die, but I never felt like it got to a point of frustration where it's like, oh, this is too difficult, blah, blah, blah. I will say, listening to 61 IndieCast, I knew there was a trophy, which you guys know me and my trophies, I like getting them, where you had to use a specific weapon the entire game, and if you beat it with that weapon, you get the trophy. Can't switch out at any time, anything like that. And that weapon is essentially the worst weapon of the game. It was an umbrella. So the umbrella has the same attack rate as your base weapon, your sword, but its damage input is half. So basically you gotta hit everything twice as much as the base weapon in order to win these fights. So I heard this on the podcast. I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. If I don't, and I give up, guess what? I was playing on easy mode. Not like, to me, I was like, oh, I'm giving myself a handicap. If things are too hard, I'm just playing the base game. It should be uphill from there. Every experience is going to be easier because half the damage output I need to do, things will be better. I can use different weapons that I'll unlock later. It'll be all smooth sailing from there. So I figured I'll try it. If it gets too frustrating, I give it up. Not a big deal. No biggie. So the whole game I did end up playing with this umbrella. Not too bad. Not too bad. to be honest, like I said, you do obviously have the lower attack damage, so things do take a little longer to achieve. But you also can use magic spells throughout your entire experience. So learning just how to use those different spells throughout your game and throughout your gameplay kind of adjusts things, makes it a little bit easier, makes things a little bit more attainable. So not too stressful an experience there. I would say the time I died probably the most was that final boss sequence, which, kind of should be the way. Difficulty should escalate, so that makes sense. So I will say that'll probably be the time throughout the game I died the most. But other than that, not too bad. Die here and there, you learn from it, you move on. But yeah, Death's Door, highly recommend it. There are, once again, a lot of, similar to Tinykin, a lot of collectibles that you can attain through this game. There are buffs to your health, buffs to your magic, which I will humble brag, say I didn't get any health upgrades throughout the entire experience of using the umbrella, so really put a handicap on myself there. There's spell upgrades, there's different little artifacts, once again, that you can get a little bit more backstory to collect. And then after the ending, once again, not going to go into spoiler territory, but it just kind of allude to it, there is a 100% ending where you have to fill out a checklist of collect all the things here, collect all the things there, do this special objective, whatever. And granted, it will take time. I used guides for it, not gonna lie there. Where's this? Where's that? But it's the base game and its story, very good, very satisfying. The 100% ending is like that other layer on the cake where it's not needed, but it was it was rewarding enough of an experience that I felt, rewarded for the time I had put in and what I had worked for. So, Death's Door, highly recommend. Can't put it in my game of the year this year because I think it came out last year, but it's one of those experiences where it's up higher. It's on Xbox, it's on PlayStation, it's on Steam. I don't know if it's on Switch. Check it out. Highly recommend it. A lot of fun. If you like Tunic, or if you like any of the Dark Souls, even if not, it's not super difficult. So I think it's something that people can kind of latch on to and enjoy. Highly recommend those. As for other games, I did play a little bit of Elden Ring. I did enjoy my experience with that. I'm not going to get too much into detail with that because I may talk about that on a future podcast. I did enjoy that. If you've been on Twitter, you've seen my journey through that game. I have taken a little bit of a break. I played a little bit of Returnal, another one that I've kind of dropped off on, not because it's bad, but just because I am bad at gaming and practice is there. Got to Act 2. I've dove back into the Switch a little bit now because I've stopped being lazy and finally set that up on my TV at the new apartment. So I've been playing or replaying through Pokemon Arceus and Pokemon Sword and Shield, just kind of enjoying that, that experience of catching stuff and all the battles. It's just like one of those nostalgia-driven things where I already know what's going to happen. Arceus I never finished, but it's not anything that's going to test my brain or really make me think about stuff. It's just one of those experiences where it's like a zone, a chill, have a good time with. So yeah, I guess those have been the games that I've been playing through break. There might have been another one or two, but I'm kind of blanking on any big stuff I did play. I guess I could check my list. Oh, did I talk about Escape Academy with you guys? I don't think I did. Escape Academy, another game that I got recommended by, this one was from Mr. K-Step, shout out to him. It's essentially escape rooms with a little story behind it, but it's 9 or 10 levels that are just all escape rooms. Not the longest experience, I say 6 to 8, maybe a little longer if things take you a little more time to solve and figure out, but it was very rewarding experience. Of just like, I love escape rooms. I haven't been in years. But puzzle solving and figuring out the different things that you need to do. Oh, this piece goes to that, that goes to that, or, you know, writing things down to be like, okay, this is this pattern or this math thing. A lot of fun. If you love escape rooms, if you love puzzles, highly recommend Escape Academy. It does have post-game content, like a season pass that's coming out. I'm not sure exactly when, but that was a lot of fun. I think Cult of the Lamb I talked about before. That might have been before the break. But almost 100% on the trophies to that game. I have 100% of Death's Door, Tinykin as well, Escape Academy. But Cult of the Lamb has a little bit harder challenges, considering some of the boss fights. Or not considering, tied in with the boss fights. So that one will take some time, but that's another game that was a lot of fun. That will be probably up on my higher end game of the year discussion once we get to that point. But good stuff. A lot of good games that I played and experienced. So check them out. Good stuff. Good stuff.